Turning to Washington this morning, where there's more fallout over President Trump's response to the unrest across America. Former U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis has released a scathing condemnation of the president. Mattis is accusing Trump of ordering the military to violate the constitutional rights of Americans. In a statement, Mattis says, "Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try. Instead, he tries to divide us." Joining me now from Washington is Amber Phillips. She's a political reporter with The Washington Post. Amber, good morning. Great to see you.
Good morning.
James Mattis has been largely silent since he left the White House in December 2018. The president praised the former general time and time again, and now we have this statement from James Mattis. Why do you think he chose this moment to come out and criticize the lack of maturity, as he called it, of the president?
Yeah, well, I mean, the catalyst for this was obviously what happened Monday evening outside the White House with police, federal law enforcement, moving peaceful protesters with force so Trump could have a photo op, and there were top military brass there at the photo op as well. But, what I think is so remarkable about General Mattis's statement is it is not just an indictment of that moment, but of the president's leadership for the past 3 years. It's like everything he had bottled up in private. And as you say, when he left the administration, it was over severe differences about whether the U.S. should stay, keep its troops in Syria or leave. He decided to keep quiet out of respect for the president, kind of like the way former presidents try to do. But this moment, it just felt like everything that he had felt frustrated by, and he was in the room at leadership at the Oval Office with the president day in and day out for the first couple of years of his presidency. He let out in this statement. And I think it's just hard to overstate the significance of this, because General Mattis is an absolute lion in the U.S. military. He is revered by military leaders, by the rank and file, especially the U.S. Marines, and Republicans in Congress who just absolutely loved the idea of General Mattis being the top defense official in the U.S.
And you use the word revere, and that is how President Trump felt about James Mattis prior to the election, after he chosen to be part of his cabinet. And here's one of the tweets from President Trump in response to Mattis. He said, "Probably the only thing Barack Obama and I had in common is that we both had the honor of firing Jim Mattis, the world's most overrated general. I asked for his letter of resignation and felt great about it. His nickname was Chaos, which I didn't like. I changed it to Mad Dog." And then he said, Mattis didn't bring home the bacon. Glad he's gone. We are seeing Mattis break from Trump the same day that the current Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, broke from Trump. Do you think this is the beginning of something where those close to Trump, or those who, whatever feared him, didn't want to speak out against him, are now feeling more confident about doing so?
It could be. One thing I will note is that a lot of the names that we're listing, people are speaking out against the president, are in the U.S. military. They felt very uncomfortable with President Trump and his top aides unleashing federal law enforcement on protesters, and President Trump championing the idea of sending the U.S. military into U.S. cities to stop these protesters. What I am so interested to watch for is today, across a couple of miles from the White House at the U.S. Capitol, what do Senate Republicans say? They're in session. Our reporters are there from all over the nation and the Washington Post to ask them questions. Notably after what happened Monday at the White House, they dodged. There was only one or two that criticized the president. The rest said, "I'm glad he got things under control." He gave him credit for that. But, now that you have General Mattis and top military brass separating themselves from the president and really calling the president out for his behavior, calling it unconstitutional, how do Republican lawmakers who owe their jobs right now to President Trump play this? I think that is where we will really see a tipping point. If there are any Republicans beyond one or two who criticize the president in very sharp ways, like Mattis did.
And there was a lot of criticism over Trump's photo op the other day in front of the church holding that Bible. That came from Mattis and others. Did that whole thing backfire for President Trump?
We'll see. For President Trump, he was definitely trying to play to his base, as he always does. You know, the base, we know he campaigned on and supported him on two things in particular: law and order, getting tough against quote unquote outsiders in America, and then, you know, supporting evangelical rights and freedom of religion in the United States. So we'll see. That's President Trump absolutely did what he always does, which is try to play to his base. If we look more broadly at national polls right now, it doesn't seem to be working in the context of coronavirus and economic collapse and these nationwide racial anti-racism protests. The polls show Joe Biden, the Democrat, who will go against him in November, growing and growing his lead. I'm not predicting anything, but right now, like, his effort to play to his base, just what he always does, his reflex, doesn't seem to be working for him.
Amber Phillips, political reporter with The Washington Post. Amber, thanks so much.